I went for an interview in 2008. There's no business change anymore without a technology attached to it. You just go into the office and you just make signatures. Of course not.
Welcome to our corporate podcast, where we explore passion, work, and what drives us. Meet our team, their success stories, and what sets us apart. Get ready for inspiring stories and valuable insights. Let's dive in. Meet Ákos, today's episode guest.
Hi Ákos, welcome to Unfiltered Talks, where we can share the space and have a great conversation.
Hi Adrian, thanks for having me here. Unfiltered Talks sounds very good. Actually, I like unfiltered beer. Do you?
Yes, I do. And actually, this is related to the first question I have. What drew you to Heineken? What's special about it? And are you a Heineken enjoyer?
I am, definitely. I love beer. So when I first heard that the company who is interested in me to hire is Heineken, immediately I thought, oh, the product is fantastic. The name is well known. So of course, I was interested in to understand what kind of role was possible. And I went for an interview and then joined Heineken in 2008.
It was also a breakthrough moment for me when I joined. I was super proud, still am, to tell all my family and friends that I work for Heineken. Something that is behind me as a big brand.
The fantastic thing is that you never have to explain what Heineken is to anyone.
I fully agree. And today we're at HEINEKEN Kraków. So Heineken Global Shared Services Center, as it's officially called. Why was it set up? Where did we start from?
It was 11 years ago. Actually, the setup started a little bit before. As the name suggests, Heineken wanted to make a global shared service center. And that was a process, how they find the place to be Kraków. Actually, I'm from Hungary, and one of the contenders were Budapest as well. But Kraków was chosen very well. And at that time, Heineken decided that finance activities for the European operating companies will be centralized in a shared service center in Kraków. And then they set up the center.
Yeah. When I joined, it was mainly finance. But now it's so many functions. So we did develop and expand it, despite the fact that, especially in current times, a lot of companies actually shrink down. Well, how is that possible for us?
There was a continuous development of the center. The first 5-6 years, there was a whole ramp up of the finance activities for all the European operating companies of Heineken. And then in the last 4-5 years, we started to have other functions as well. Now we have quite a big hub for IT, or digital and technology, as we call it in Heineken. Now we have even supply chain, and we resource from here a lot of global programs. So from the first 100 people who joined in the first year, now we are around 1,600 people at the moment.
Yeah, so 11 years, that's a long journey. There must be some things that you're really proud of, but what also, apart from that, were the biggest challenges or difficult moments?
Yeah, it is never easy to set up a shared service center and do activities remotely. And now, after COVID, it's much more general, but 10 years ago, it was not easy how you set up the processes to work from a country, say Romania, from here. So, of course, there were challenges at the beginning, as always in these kind of operations. And there were a number of years until the processes became better and better. We became better and better. Cooperation with the countries and us became better and better. So there was quite a moment like that. And then also the whole industry has changed. The whole industry in Kraków, in Poland, emerged, and the technology difference as well is huge. So that made always something to renew, always something to become better. And I think this was the history of the last 11 years of HEINEKEN Kraków.
Yeah, and we've gone through a lot of turbulent times. As you mentioned, we went through COVID, but also many other things. But where are we now? What's ahead of us? What's the future that can bring us?
Yeah, I think it's very, very interesting. from 2020, we have a new strategy here in HEINEKEN Kraków. We call it AGSS Forward. And it still has an ambition for 2025 and beyond as well. And I'm very happy that this strategy really landed very well and practically remained unchanged since then. And we talk about how end-to-end we can deliver value to HEINEKEN, how we can support the transformation of HEINEKEN company. HEINEKEN as well came out 3 years ago, a new strategy globally called Evergreen. And then our strategy fully fits to that and that ambition. And then, of course, how Evergreen as well is being developed and being executed globally as well. That means more and more activities, different, more and more value-added things as well we can do from here.
I think it's also good for whoever is watching us or listening to us to say which part or parts of HEINEKEN we support from Kraków or which divisions of HEINEKEN.
Yeah, so still finance is more or less half of the organization here. That is as well increasing, so more and more activities are here. We do that for the European operating companies and our headquarters in Amsterdam, but also some other companies like South Africa or Canada, we work a little bit out. Then we have the digital and technology. These are mainly global roles here, and there are about 300 colleagues here working for digital and technology. For example, cybersecurity, globally, we do most of it from here, from Kraków. Then the third area is supply chain, where we have transport management for European operating companies and sales and operational planning as well for European operating companies. But next to this, there are a lot of other several experts role we are doing. Especially, we are participating in big global transformation programs. The whole transformation capabilities, project capabilities, are a very important part of what we can support HEINEKEN.
And looking at our present world, it may be obvious to say that technology is dominating within business. What is its role and place here for HEINEKEN Kraków, for ourselves?
Actually, there's no business change anymore without a technology attached to it. So, of course, how we work together with the digital and technology teams are fundamental. That's why it is also very important that we have digital and technology teams here with our process experts, and they combine forces, they work together, for example, on automations, they work together on new developments. And also, now the biggest transformation program what HEINEKEN is doing, which is an SAP implementation with all the platforms around it. We call it digital backbone. Many colleagues, experts from the functions as well, but also IT colleagues as well are coming from Kraków, and we work for a global deployment of these solutions.
Yeah. Somebody not knowing us and looking at us from the outside may think, okay, they are stationed in Kraków, working with HEINEKEN in Europe mainly. So maybe it's just like a mailbox that people send requests for us to do. But how do we stay connected with all the colleagues from HEINEKEN in various countries and our stakeholders, internal customers?
Yeah, one of the fundamental things what we would like to do is operational excellence. And operational excellence can be very many things. How you can do something cheaper, better, faster, in a more customer-centric way, for example, or having more compliance around them. So all of these areas where we can deliver value. And the moment you do many things from same processes from different countries, then you get the knowledge, then you get the scale. Then you can go back to the operations and say, we can do better for you. By the way, let's change end-to-end as well. And then that's going to be better for the company. It's going to be faster. It's going to be a much easier process for all of us. Now, this is our responsibility to do and go back, learn, share, reapply, which is an important behavior in HEINEKEN, what we do. Very much trying to get the operating companies with us on this journey.
Yeah. And coming back to staying connected, it not only through processes, but with relationships and interactions. How do you do that? And what are your main stakeholders that you have within Heineken that you keep connected?
As always, in a transformation, you need to get connections at all level, and you need to get the colleagues on board to understand what you want to do, and that's better for the company and better for all of us as well. So, of course, I'm having connection to all the finance directors, for example, of the European operating companies, but also all the managing directors. I'm personally a member of the global finance leadership team. So the whole global finance strategy I can shape as well. And the whole shared services agenda is important there. But this is important, is what I'm discussing with all of my colleagues, that those connections are there. A team leader of order to cash, for example, have to be in touch with the credit manager of an operating company. And at every level you have these connections, and we can make our work better.
Yeah, so it's like sitting at the same table and solving things together. That's definitely it. And I also want to come back to one of my previous questions about the most problematic or stressful situation, the biggest challenge that we had to go through before we ended up here.
Yeah, since I joined, which was end of 2019, I just joined before the COVID. And I was lucky to do that because I was in the office and I met everyone face to face before the COVID hit. I mean, the moments of COVID was of course very frightening when it started. At that time, we had operations as well in India. So with a third party provider, we need to have the connection. And then at that moment, we had to ensure, everybody has a laptop, everybody can work from home. Do you have internet? Or what happens if you cannot come to the office? So I remember with the IT guys, we were trying to secure the monitors, the laptops. Newcomers were coming in. We had 30, 40 newcomers every single month. So how you do that? That was quite a task. Honestly, I enjoyed it, but there were extreme stressful moments. So those couple of weeks were quite sleepless, not only for me, but for many of us.
Yeah, as they say, never waste a crisis, because you can learn from it a lot. And I do remember those daily crisis team meetings that we have had together with all the various functions to make sure everything is well.
Yeah,
so.
I remember at that time even Microsoft Teams was not there, or we just started to use it. Which is now obvious. At that time was not so obvious. But if I can tell you another very important moment, which was let's say the most difficult weekend of my whole career, and that was when the war started in Ukraine, and we had 45 Ukrainian colleagues, another 10 colleagues from Russia. And the war started Thursday night or Friday morning. I was on holidays. I remember that immediately we started to say, oh my God, what's happening? How our colleagues could have been impacted. Over the weekend, I had a call with the CFO, briefed him what is happening here. And then we set up a call on Monday morning to talk to the Ukrainian colleagues, then to the Russian colleagues separately. That call, preparing for that, and that call was the most difficult moment in my whole work career, because it was about the people, it was about their family, it was about they didn't know what to do. Well, that was very hard moment, I have to say.
And that's one of your responsibilities as a director, and this must have been very, very stressful. And a lot of people, when they think director, they picture somebody somewhere remotely in their office, sitting and going through reports. And how is it different, a different perception on a director, an ordinary person with a role, or is it really something, like a divine being somewhere? How much are you?
My grandfather, who lived 99 years age, he was a farmer. So he always worked in a farm and did that work. And my father was, let's say, a middle manager in a company. And my grandfather never understood what he was doing. And he said, this is an easy work. You just go into the office and you just make signatures. And that always come to my mind. Do I just come here and make signatures? And of course not. There are different elements what a leader has to do, but ultimately I'm responsible for all the colleagues here. I'm responsible that this company is going very fine, but everybody is in a safe place. Everybody can do their best, and everybody develops their best. So, for example, this is why the whole situation with the Ukrainian colleagues was so difficult. But I'm representing here the company. I'm representing here Heineken, and to make sure that what we do here is giving value to Heineken. So I see my role as the most fundamental is looking to the future, shaping the strategy of HEINEKEN Kraków, which is good for HEINEKEN Kraków and which is good for Heineken as well. So this is October today. If you ask me where my thoughts are what's going to happen in quarter 2, quarter 3 next year. And this is what I'm working with my direct colleagues a lot. And then, of course, next to that is performance management. So do we find the right ways, measures, KPIs to understand that everything what is happening here is really delivering value and going to the direction and to the ambition where we want to go? Well, I'm trying to make up my days around these.
Yeah, and you mentioned strategy, AGSS Forward. So what's behind it? Did Ákos Magyari sat in his office and wrote down the strategy and then showed it to the people, here's the strategy? How did it develop? How did it come to life, our strategy?
Yeah, there was a strategy when I came here, but that time, if I may say, that it was a little bit internally focused on, okay, how we can improve here a little bit better. And what I challenged my team when I came here, can it be much more end-to-end? Can we have elements in the strategy which we don't have a direct decision-making moment, but what we can really influence, what we can really shape? So, for example, to make the center multifunctional was not our decision, but should have been our ambition, because we saw this is what can bring scale, this is what can bring more career opportunities to the colleagues, this is how the best shared service center work, and that was our responsibility to put that into the strategy, and then to explain that to our stakeholders to make it happen, and then it made happen. But I think the most important thing when you make a strategy that you cannot underestimate, that is to set North Stars, to set an ambition, to imagine where you want to be. And then if you know that, how the good looks like and which direction we should go, then you can identify, okay, what is the strategy, what you have to do for the next 3-5 years, what you have to do and what you have to prioritize for next year or even for next quarter. And sometimes that's underestimated because it looks like we spend a lot of time on fine-tuning a sentence or two on what's the ambition, but at the end of the day, it's very important. And my view is being ambitious, being courageous, setting targets high is helping the business. And that doesn't mean you will always reach all of that ambition, but only if you go to that direction, that's already good for all of us.
And so, speaking of strategies, do you have your own personal strategy for yourself, for your life?
Oh yes, and I'm over 50, unfortunately, and I just learned the term recently, third act. The third act means that when you are at that stage of your career and your private life, that you had family, your children getting older, in your career you achieved whatever you wanted, and then you start thinking, okay, but what am I going to do in the rest of my life? So that I want to retire tomorrow, but I already started to have this thinking as well. So I want to do a work which I really enjoy. Luckily, what I do here in Krakow is something gives me a big enjoyment. But I also start to see how I can give more enjoyment to my own family, how I can give more enjoyment to myself for the remaining part of my life. And I have certain thoughts indeed.
So what do you do to wind down and to, what makes you tick? What are your hobbies? How do you spend your quality time?
Adrian, that I spend a lot of time watching football. Actually, I have a favorite team, Liverpool, who I watch a lot, and I try to watch them live as well, time to time. It's not necessarily an active hobby, but something which gives me satisfaction and a lot of fun. Otherwise, I still have children, so We like going with them for holidays, trying to spend time with them. I to spend time with my family, with my friends. I have friends still back from Hungary, to groups of friends, and then we have a lot of time together.
I also know that you're an avid reader. What books have you read recently that perhaps have influence on your professional career or your private life?
Yes, I like reading. Indeed, I read a lot of books. I don't finish everything, which I just learned is not a problem if you don't finish a book, if you don't get everything out of it. Recently, the writer who made the biggest impact on me, his name is Nava Ravikant. He's an Indian-born billionaire. He's an investor. I'm like learning a lot about investment, so I get a lot of books through that. But actually, his philosophy, how he sees life, what he teaches and preaches are very, very interesting. And he has a book which is what you can read, and then every single page there's something interesting to learn.
I definitely need to check that one out. And well, this was the first, or has been the first, Unfiltered Talk we had. So we're starting a series of webcasts here with various colleagues from HEINEKEN Kraków talking about what and how they do here in their business life. And for that reason, I'm changing my role and will become a bartender for our future guests so that they can enjoy the time here. And I needed to learn one more skill.
Okay. That is important in Heineken, that you know how to tap a beer.
Yes, pouring beer. And with that, I will pour ourselves some Heineken Zero, which tastes great, refreshing.
Great, it is.
Ice cold, and something great to cheer with. So, cheers and
Adrian.
Happy days for HEINEKEN Kraków.
Thank you for this. Nice.
Yeah, definitely is. Thank you, Ákos.
Thank you.